it's just a little kind of an example of like how when with basic science you don't always know exactly where it will go, but in this case it ended up like creating this continent-wide multinational collaboration that has been going on for decades and decades. And the fact that this all kind of started with someone like watching screwworms meet in the lab and having an epiphany is kind of remarkable.
Now, there have been a couple of small outbreaks here and there over the years, including the Florida one, the
deer,
2016 one. But they've all gotten tamped down pretty easily. Like, it didn't take all that much to beat those back. But when we come back from break, all kinds of things are going to break loose. News, biological barriers, and maybe also Lotta's heart.
Hey, Lulu here, and this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. It is March, in like a lion, out like a lamb, and somewhere in the middle, it's International Women's Day. And BetterHelp wants us all to just take a moment to consider the women in our lives, our personal lives, our society, and thank them for their strength and for all that they carry. That work matters, they matter, you matter, and therapy offers a space for all of us to take care of ourselves in the way we deserve. Think about the roles you play for the people you love. Think about how those roles, intentionally or not, weigh on you and in the worst moments work to weigh you down. Therapy helps create perspective, set healthy boundaries, and work toward balance. BetterHelp has loads of therapists, all of whom work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. Why not give it a try? Fill out a short questionnaire, and BetterHelp will use their 12 plus years of experience to match you with one. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/radiolab. That's betterhelp.com/radiolab.
I'm Mandy.
And I'm Melissa, and this is Moms and Mysteries.
We're two Florida moms obsessed with true crime. From infamous cases like Ellen Greenberg to shocking Florida stories like the Dan Markel killing.
With 55 million downloads, we bring you new deep dives every Tuesday and Thursday.
Listen to Moms and Mysteries on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Radiolab. I'm Latif Nasser here with producer Sarah Kari.
Hello.
And we've been talking to journalist Sarah Zhang and writer Sam Keen about screwworms.
Right. The skin-crawly, flesh-eating parasite that we all forgot about because Nippling and his sterile flies drove it down south.
All the way to a biological demilitarized zone at the very bottom of North America, aka the southern border of Panama.
Yeah.
But in 2023,
Ahora tenemos un brote.
Panama suddenly started seeing
Muchos ganaderos.
A massive spike in screwworm cases, from like 25 cases a year to like thousands.
And since then,
it's only gotten worse.
The parasitic fly is moving north.
they have been steadily marching north.
Outbreaks of this deadly insect.
They've been found in Costa Rica,
Nicaragua,
Honduras,
El Salvador, Guatemala.
they're even in Mexico.
Only 700 miles from the U.S. border.
And it turns out it's basically getting closer every day.
Less than 400 miles.
300 miles from Texas at the southern border.
It's gotten as close as
70 miles or so from the U.S. border.
Whoa.
This is an ongoing breaking news story.
So what happened? Like, how did they get past the biological wall?
There are a couple of theories.
One theory is that maybe the strain of screwworm that they were growing at the factory was not as effective anymore. I don't know, maybe the ladies out there caught on to what was going on and weren't mating with them or something.
Yeah.
Just general disruptions due to COVID might have weakened the production a little bit.
Or maybe, Sam says, given that we live in a more and more interconnected world,
Because it does still exist in South America.
where people and products and animals are moving from place to place, it was just a matter of time before these worms found their way through.
The best guess is that people were smuggling cattle that were infected,
Yeah.
and then it just got out.
But regardless, as of today, right now, the screwworm,
It's sort of like knocking on our doorstep.
It's not a matter of if the deadly pest gets to the U.S., but when.
and surprisingly enough, in this time of cuts to science funding and all that, and the idea of building political will around something that everyone has pretty much forgotten seems dubious.
The issue has also alarmed Washington.
It actually does seem like the US government is paying attention.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has snapped into action.
And really, just like Knipling's time, pretty much because of the cattle industry.
Millions of dollars of losses a year.
Of course.
It could truly crush the cattle industry as well as other livestock industry in Texas.
So, the USDA has started to set up screwworm traps along the US-Mexico border.
Shut down the southern border.
They have agents on horseback
So-called tick riders.
patrolling the border for stray cows. They are pouring money into screwworm research. And of course, they are rebuilding Knipling's fly factories.
They are now building a new facility down in Texas.
Another one in Mexico. All told, probably in the next couple years, we will be producing and releasing something like 500 million flies per week.
Wow.
And we probably will have spent like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you see this as like the modern cow factory farm system is like unsustainable and like this is just like one other band-aid to keep that system financially profitable or something? Like I could see an argument that's like, oh, this is just to help like big rancher businesses.
Yeah. Well, I think in a literal sense, like this program was created to help ranchers. Like, that is in fact the express purpose of the USDA. So I think I wouldn't even argue with that premise. But this does affect wild animals too.
Right.
In Central America, like you used to see like howler monkeys falling out of trees because they had become so disfigured and sick from getting infested by screwworms.
And beyond that, I mean, actually, you know, this time around with this effort, it's not just the USDA that's involved in this program.
So I'll try and make the case on the human side of things. Number one.
So I talked to this public health official named Megan Nichols, who is at the CDC.
And my current role is incident manager for our New World Screwworm response.
Because the CDC is worried about this outbreak too. And the thing that Megan pointed out is that
these flies like to infest a wound.
I mean, you know, wildlife or cows aside, screwworms will happily lay their eggs in pretty much any warm-blooded animal, including humans.
And it can be a pretty small wound, like as small as a little cut or a bite on the skin.
I read that they can also get in through just like bodily openings. Is that true?
It is true. They are often attracted to mucous membranes, so eyes, nose, ears, urogenital.
Yikes.
So yes. And during this outbreak, there have been over 1,000 human cases, and the number continues to grow daily.
And to be fair, you know, like not to fearmonger here, this is not a pandemic level human health crisis. Most people that take precautions will be totally fine.
But I also think very much about this on an individual level.
And the kinds of individuals that would be the most susceptible to a serious screwworm infestation, like folks who can't get medical help right away, or people who are unhoused, or have weakened immune systems, or even like kids with a lot of scrapes.
They're the last ones that need to deal with something like this.
And on the off chance that it does happen, it is kind of a horror show.
One of the most impactful images that I have seen related to 2025 was patients that were lining the hallway of a medical treatment facility in a country that is currently part of this outbreak. And the patient was holding a bowl in which they were basically sneezing out and pushing out larvae from their nasal passage. And other people who were lining this hallway basically waiting to be seen because they were also needing to get the maggots out of their body.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, all right. I see the point that this is more than just the cattle industry.
Yeah.
But I do now wonder if it's just going to keep coming back. Like, is this just an inevitable cycle that we're now stuck in? Like, we're just going to have to keep doing this.
Yeah, you kind of are on a treadmill.
You're on a treadmill.
Using Knipling's technique, yeah.
But I did, as I was reporting on this, come across a different way that people are starting to think about screwworm control.
So another option that is controversial, but scientists have been talking about it.
This is something that Sam mentioned too.
Is something called a gene drive.
Okay, so what is that?
It kind of goes around the normal Mendelian laws of genetics.
Okay, so first of all, let's assume that you are a scientist that has modern day genetic technologies available to you, and you introduce a killing gene into the screwworm population.
You could make it lethal to be a female, so it could trigger something where females just don't get out of the egg stage.
It's like a little time bomb in the cell.
Yeah, exactly. And typically, if you were to try to do that, genetics would work its normal way, and that killing gene would only get inherited 50% of the time. And in every successive generation, it would become less and less common, and you'd have to keep reseeding that gene into the population.
Okay.
But this is where gene drives have a little extra trick.
In a gene drive, there's closer to 100% chance that the gene will get passed down.
You can basically ensure that it'll get passed down every time. And so it's kind of like a set it and forget it kind of thing. Like you introduce the killing gene and then you just let it have its way with the screwworm population.
The screwworms are going to be out there reproducing and spreading that gene by themselves very quickly.
And what that really means is eventually
It's going to wipe them out.
not just, beating screwworms back down to Panama, but like truly and wholly eradicating screwworms, extincting them off the face of the planet forever.
I just I don't want us to have to live with these, but I don't want us to kill them forever. That feels wrong. That feels like we're doing something untakebackable that we should not be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
But let me bring in one more person here.
So I'm Greg Kapenick. I am a research scholar at the Hastings Center.
Because I think he feels a lot of the same way.
I mean, here we are in the early stages of the sixth major extinction, one that we humans are causing. And I mean, in a way, this seems like, gosh, joining forces with the other side in some way.
Yes, exactly.
Well, but at the same time, Gregory has seen this potential use of gene drives coming on the horizon and really wanted to think about it more. So what he decided to do is get together a panel.
I thought I'll turn to some environmental ethicists,
ecologists,
conservation biologists,
geneticists, entomologists,
some people with public health background.
No one from the Texas Cattle Ranchers Association.
We already know what they think.
I thought it would be particularly interesting to bring together people who would be, by and large, kind of predisposed to want not to take out species.
So,
we gathered at Arizona State
in May 2024
for a day and a half of presentations and discussion.
They considered a couple of the top nasty species,
like the mosquito species that is the main vector of malaria.
And one of them was screwworms.
Yes.
So the idea was to hash out some of the pros and cons for either side.
Keep, eliminate, and sort of report out our findings.
And given the group of people that were sitting at the table, they started out with some of the arguments that you might expect.
We need to think about the value of species.
Yeah, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, I mean, there'd be different ways in which a species could be valuable.
Like, first off, there's some very practical ecological considerations.
I mean, the main question is, what's it doing in the wild? Is it a pollinator? Turns out screwworm is something of a pollinator, but
is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But it's probably not a very important pollinator. There are lots.
Bees do it better.
Yeah, the bees probably win.
Then you have to consider whether some other animal needs to eat it.
Probably, sometimes.
But turns out it's not really a key food source for any other animal.
Does it play an important role as a predator in keeping other species in check?
I mean, obviously, in this case, yes, it is a predator, but according to Gregory, the animals it eats
are already under pressure from human forces. So, if anything, you want to ease the burden as much as you can on those species.
Okay, but they did also consider some more abstract values that a species might have.
Aesthetic.
Aesthetic, interesting.
Educational, historical, scientific. I think that's the list.
Or maybe we put it in terms of screwworm.
Yeah, in my mind, I was thinking about it like if you were going around the way you did and you opened it up to all your colleagues and then sitting there
was a giant screwworm who is gonna make the case to save itself. Yeah, like what's the best case that screwworm would make?
That's the hard case.
Aesthetic, clearly.
Yeah, right. Educational, like don't mess with nature, kids.
You know, jokes aside though,
I mean,
Gregory says, you know, people like him do actually put a lot of stock in this sort of intrinsic value of a species.
It's this ingenious development in and of its own right.
You know, anything that's around today has been honed by millennia of evolution, and in that way, every species is
a marker of the creative, natural forces that sustain life, that brought us into being. I mean, I feel like you have to try to put it in a practically poetic way in order to really convey what people are thinking.
So Gregory's group, after about a day and a half of discussing all of this,
We're all kind of exhausted and we're trying to put it all together.
And Gregory says, okay, we're gonna go around the room one by one.
Sort of put everyone on the spot and see what they thought. And we did so. And by the time we'd gone around, most people had, I think maybe everyone had actually said, yeah, screwworm looks like a pretty good candidate.
Really? Like that it would be okay to wipe this species off the planet forever.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Was that awkward?
Well, I mean, it was this like, it was kind of like this serious moment. There was, everyone was sort of sighing. It's like, oh, I really don't want to vote for this, but it looks like maybe the case can sometimes be strong enough.
But isn't there sort of like, I mean, this just feels like, you know, an idea that always comes up with ecosystems. Like we think we know, and then we don't. Like there's always the knock-on effects that we never see coming, and we thought we knew everything, but then it surprises us, but there it is. Like does it not feel like hubris to assume that we know everything that could potentially go wrong?
Yeah, but we did, in fact, at least up until very recently, get rid of screwworm in southern North America and throughout Central America, and you know, the sky didn't fall. Other species didn't wink out because they weren't able to eat New World screwworm anymore. So we have a little bit of a kind of preliminary...
It's like experimental data.
Yeah, kind of. Like, that suggests that it's probably not really that important ecologically.
So losing it, you know, doesn't seem to do any harm. And then on the other side...
Part of what was so persuasive about it was that the death that it causes is exquisitely awful.
I mean, with screwworms, did you guys consider alternatives to eradication?
Like if there were some other kind of treatment for it, some sort of medicine that you could take.
Gregory says if it was possible to like separate screwworms from the thing that they do, or like the disease that they cause of, you know, flesh being eaten, and if you could attack that disease, then great, you know, like that's sort of the case with malaria and mosquitoes, where you can attack the disease, or in that case the parasite, rather than the mosquito. But with screwworms, there's just no way to do that. Like eating flesh is in their nature; it's what they do. There's just no way to make them like vegetarians or make them uninterested in flesh.
The only way you get rid of the disease is by getting rid of the fly. At least at the time that we were meeting and writing, there was nothing else to do except take it out if you can. Eliminate the flies.
I don't know. I want to agree with him, but I don't know if that wins the day for me. Like I don't disagree, but I just can't bring myself to agree.
No, this is this is the part of the story where I feel like I agree with you. I don't know. I don't know what to do with the fact that I don't want screwworms to exist you know, like I think about like the people in South America. We just stopped at Panama.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want them to have to deal with screwworms and suffer. But at the same time, this stuff gets scary. I
it
guess
does.
one thing I will say though, that Gregory did mention, is that if we go down this path,
Yeah.
theoretically there is sort of an undo button here.
You can definitely keep it somewhere else in a facility or, frozen eggs or something. And if it were to turn out that
Like the cure for cancer was in the screwworm eggs, or
really vital to the life cycle of this frog species in South America or something like that.
some ecological Rube Goldberg machine got set off because we got rid of all the screwworms.
Yeah.
It would be possible to achieve something like de-extinction with screwworm.
To bring it back, to seed it, fling it out of the plains the way we're flinging out the sterile ones.
Yeah. And what we know from the outbreak in Central America now is that they can take off pretty well.
Imagine the public campaign where it would be like, hey everybody, remember how
they used to exist?
Right. There's this one frog in Panama that this was really helpful for, so we're just gonna drop these flesh-eating worms. We're just gonna rain them down over you and your home.
Yeah.
So one last thing before we go. Back in 2016, Edward Knipling and his screwworm research won a Golden Goose Award. If you haven't heard of it before, the Golden Goose Award goes to U.S. government-funded science that sounds ridiculous but ends up changing the world. And Knipling's research was exactly that. Even years after it proved useful, members of Congress still ridiculed and scapegoated it.
Frivolous pork projects such as the screwworm research, $35 million.
As an example of government waste.
Even though the screwworm has been eradicated in the United States.
This is now the fourth Golden Goose inspired story that we have done.
Nice.
We did one about cone snails called Golden Goose, one about a bacterium called the Age of Aquaticus, and one recently about honeybees called Time is Honey. And now this one. It's almost become like a sneaky little recurring series that if you ever meet someone who doesn't believe that the government should fund basic science, just play them one of these. We'll link them all in the episode description.
This episode was reported and produced by me, Sarah Kari, with reporting help from Latif Nasser. Our fact checker was Emily Krieger. Check out Sam Keen's podcast, The Disappearing Spoon. His episode about screwworms is linked in our episode description. Same goes for Sarah Zhang's latest story in The Atlantic. And if you are interested in hearing more about gene drives, check out our episode about it, the last 10 minutes of our CRISPR update.
Thank you to James P. Collins, Max Scott, Amy Murillo, Daniel Griffin, Phil Kaufman, Katie Barnhill, Arthur Kaplan, Ron Sandler, Yasha Rower, and our gaggle of friends at AAAS who administer the Golden Goose Award, Aaron Heath, Gwendolyn Bogard, Valeria Sabate, Meredith Asbury, and Joanne Padron Carney.
And the last thing, if you want more information on screwworm-infested areas, or how you can take precautions to be safe, there is a website you can check out. It is screwworm.gov.
That's screwworm.gov. Sorry, I guess it's time for us to just screw off.
Indeed.
And we'll catch you next week.
All right.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm from San Francisco, and here are the staff credits. Radiolab is hosted by Lula Miller and Latif Nasser. Soren Wheeler is our executive editor. Sarah Sandbach is our executive director. Our managing editor is Pat Walters. Dylan Keefe is our director of sound design. Our staff includes Jeremy Bloom,
introduce you the Pyrodrone. What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's episode we are gonna talking about this transmitter. This is the Tango 2 transmitter, which has some stock gimbals that are not really how I like them. I really find them very low quality. They feel very stiff when you initially buy the controller, and I have did some adjustments inside for the springs to make them a little bit smoother, but they are still not feeling right. So now the time has come to make an upgrade, so I introduce you the Pyrodrone whole gimbal for this controller, and I cannot wait to show you what's inside the box and to show you how I'm going to install the gimbals. I don't think it's going to be a very difficult process, and also after that I can't wait to see how these new gimbals feel. These are my first CNC gimbals, these are machine gimbals, and they should provide a very smooth experience as well as a very good quality feel. And they should really be easy to install in this controller because it's specially designed for the Tango 2 controller and also for the Mambo controller. It's licensed by Team Black Sheep, and this is the V1.2, so they have passed through several revisions until they got into this point. Okay, so enough with the talking, let's see what we have first to do. Let's first open the box. So this is the box, it's very nice, wrapped into a plastic bag, and I'm going to rip this off and see what's inside. Let's open this. Nice, the box is, it's matte and it looks very nice. Let's try to open it. I think it's a slide box. It's opening hard. Okay, I got it. So we have one box for, I think, only one gimbal here. Great. So we have here the two gimbals. One is for the left stick and the other, of course, for the right one. Let's open one and see what we have inside. Alright, so very premium feel. It starts to feel very well. I'm so excited to open these gimbals. Let's get this out of the box. Inside we have the gimbal itself and a plastic bag with some screws that I will need to install this, and some instructions. And in the other box the same thing. So we have the gimbal with the screws. Great, so these are the gimbals, very I don't want them opened yet, so I will start by disassembling the transmitter first, and I will show you how this should be done. So, to open up the Tango 2 transmitter, you have to remove these rubber pads behind it. You just pull it with a little bit of force, and just above here it has something that has to slide out. Be careful not to damage this one. Alright, this is it. And now we have some screws around this case that have... Today we're going to be in...
Very true. One. This one looks. bit tricky. Where's the phone?
If you are new to FPV, you might be saying, hey Stu, can you just give me an overview of which goggles should I get in 2026? There's lots of different versions, whether you're a DJI HD0, Walksnail, Ascent, Open IPC, the new P1 system, which one should I get? Can you give us a bit of a breakdown on all of them? Yes, absolutely I can. So if we head over here, I have built this specifically for you. This is my website, DIY FPV. Got a bunch up the top here. The only one that I'm missing is currently the P1 system or the ArtLink system, which I will be adding soon, hopefully sometime later this week. And this right here is going to give you a visual comparison, and we're just going to break it down, some of the pros and cons, and also look at the prices of each one of these. So at least you can have a base understanding, a quick overview of each one. We're probably going to spend about a minute on each system. So the beauty about analog is it is the cheapest point of entry. You can get some really cheap box goggles, and it usually or typically has some lower latency. You don't have to have one complete ecosystem for everything. So whether you get the same VTX or whether you get like a Foxy VTX and a Fat Shark pair of goggles, it's all going to work. It's all going to talk to each other. It's relatively simple. There's heaps of different VTX options, so you can choose the right VTX for your craft. Everything about analog is pretty amazing, except for the image right here. So this is the image that you can expect. Yeah, the image quality of analog, I would give it about a 5. It's not very good. It's not very clear. It handles breakup in kind of an interesting way, but look, it's an okay choice, and especially if you want to fly around whoops, it's not terrible. This is HD0, and you can see the image quality is a little bit better. Some people refer to it as spicy analog. The big things that are impressive about this one is it has extremely low latency, relatively comparable to analog, which means if you're going to the races, you're really going to like this. They have a lot of the same advantages that analog has, but it's just a slightly better picture. And some of the cons or things that aren't great about this one is you're paying a lot of money. HD0 is a relatively expensive system. They have the most expensive goggles on the market if you want to get their top-end goggles. And also, there is limited VTX options, and when it comes to range and penetration, HD0 doesn't perform as well as some of the other systems. And really, the big one for me, though, is why I don't fly HD0 is I'm not terribly latency sensitive, and I do prefer a better-looking image. But yeah, here's a comparison between analog and HD0. Now, moving along, the next system we could probably talk about, this is going to be Walksnail. So you can straight off the bat see the step up in resolution. Some things I like about Walksnail, they're kind of like the mid-level. They have a wide range of VTXs. You can do some very far long-range things with this. They're a digital solution. All of these other ones as well, they all need to be in the same ecosystem, so you can't just mix and match goggles or anything. They have some budget goggles that you can get. They offer, I would say, maybe like an 8 out of 10 in terms of image quality. You are going to feel the latency more than the HD0 or the analog system, though. They're just, the image quality is fine. They're like a solid mid-range, like they sort of do everything, but they don't master anything and excel the best at any one thing. They're like just a solid, good choice. I'd give them like an 8 out of 10 when it comes to for just a general flying experience. They have some cheap goggles as well. So you can get a set of goggles of these for like $199. They've got some really small VTXs, a lot of different air units you can put them in. And yeah, that's about it. They're not suitable for racing though, because they don't have the low latency typically of the other HD0 and the analog systems. Now moving along, the next one we can talk about, and this is the Ascent system, which is actually made by the same company. The pros of this one, extremely cheap. This is like $150 for or like maybe a $200 set, but a set of goggles and a VTX is really, really cheap. It's really small form factor. and I think the image actually looks okay when it's still, but you're going to get a little bit of ghosting or stuttering when you're flying around. I don't get great penetration with it. It's a very new system. You don't know how far it's going to go. And when it comes to the VRX, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that it is set up. So I don't really recommend the Ascent system, even though it is really, really cheap for what you get. It's not my favorite. It's not my recommendation. The biggest advantage of it is that it's cheap. And look, it does look okay if you have a look at a comparison here between a what's this, like a $200 versus $600. You would say, oh, this one looks significantly better, but it's not as reliable. I don't like flying with Ascent. Is sort of where I'm up to. They have a lot of work. The system might be able to do some stuff in the future, but it's not my recommendation. Next, we have DJI, which this image looks a little bit dark here, but it is what it is. I haven't altered any of these images. I think this is my favorite system to fly with. It's really expensive. Some of the pros about this, the image quality is good, the penetration's good, the latency I have no issues with. It's not as good as analog or HD0. It's just an all-round solid.
谁说我俩的过去尽在不言中？别忘了我曾拥有你，你也曾爱过我。当你留给我，我不想接受的伤痛，爱情到头来还是梦。别说我俩的世界有太多不同，就说你已经忘了我，你就要离开我。谁能够告诉我，我是否付出太多？就当我从来没有过，还是消失在我心头。谁曾经提醒过我的爱没有把握，就当我从来没有过，还是忘了你，忘了我。接受的伤痛，爱情到头来还是梦。别说我俩的世界有太多不同，就说你已经忘了我，你就要离开我。谁能够告诉我，我是否付出太多？就当我从来没有过，还是消失在我心头。谁曾经提醒过我的爱没有把握？就当我从来没有过，还是忘了你，忘了我。谁能够告诉我，我是否付出太多？就当我从来没有过，还是消失在我心头。谁曾经提醒我的爱没有把握？就当我从来没有过。 还是忘了你，忘了我。是谁和谁的心刻在树上的痕迹？是谁和谁的你留在墙上擦洗去？虽然分手的季节改变，虽然离别的理由改变，那些青梅竹马的爱情不曾忘记。是谁对谁的心藏在深锁的抽屉？是谁和谁的声音留在相同的相片里？虽然经历的誓言在变，虽然说好的方式在变，但那些风云梦兮的你不曾忘记。当我们唱着一些无聊的歌曲，谈着爱不爱的问题，幻想着林黛玉，爱着贾宝玉，我是牛郎织女也在嬉戏。而那些错过的歌，唱过的歌，爱过的人，那些我们天真的以为永远不会结束的事，而做过的梦，唱过的歌，爱过的人，留在漫漫岁月不能再续。是谁给谁的心藏在深锁的抽屉？是谁和谁的声音留在泛红的相片里？虽然经历的誓言在变，虽然说谎的方式在变，但那些风云梦兮的你不曾忘记。当我们唱着一些无聊的歌曲，谈着爱不爱的问题，幻想着林黛玉，爱着贾宝玉，我是牛郎织女也在嬉戏。而那些错过的歌，唱过的歌，爱过的人，那些我们天真的以为永远不会结束的事，而做过的梦，唱过的歌，爱过的人，留在了 了却不能再续。给我一个空间，没有人走过，感觉到自己被冷落。给我一段时间，没有人曾经爱过，再一次体会寂寞。曾经爱过却要分手，为何相爱不能相守？到底为什么？早知如此，何必一开始？欢笑以后代价就是冷漠。既然说过深深爱我，为何又要离我远走？还是伤我放在脑后？早知如此，何必一开始？我还是原来的我。给我一个空间，没有人走过，感觉到心灵的伤口。给我一段时间，勇敢地面对寂寞，再一次开始生活。深深爱过却要分手，为何相爱不能相守？到底为什么？早知如此，何必一开始？欢笑以后代价就是冷漠。既然说过深深爱我，为何又要离我远走？还是伤我放在脑后？早知如此，何必一开始？我还是原来的我。给我一个空间，没有人知道，感觉到自己被冷落。给我一段时间，没有人曾经爱过，再一次体会寂寞。深深爱过却要分手，为何相爱不能相守？到底为什么？早知如此，何必一开始？欢笑以后代价就是冷漠。既然说过深深爱我，为何又要离我远走？还是伤我放在脑后？早知如此，何必一开始？我还是原来的我。既然说过深深爱我，为何又要离我远走？还是伤我放在脑后？早知如此，何必一开始？我还是原来的我。你我都已熟悉的旋律，在你遗忘的时候，我依然还记得。明天你是否依然爱我？我早已经了解追逐爱情的理由，虽然不能爱你，却又不知该如何。相信总会有一天，你一定会离去。 但明天你是否依然爱我？所有的故事只能由你做主题歌，我知道你最后的选择。所有的爱情只能有一个结果，我深深知道，那绝对不是我。既然曾经爱过，又何必真正拥有你？即使离别，也不会有太多难过。午夜里的旋律，已经重复着那首歌。What is you love me tomorrow？所有的故事只能有一首主题歌，我知道你最后的选择。所有的爱情只能有一个结果，我深深知道，那绝对不是我。既然曾经爱过，又何必真正拥有你？即使离别，也不会有太多难过。午夜里的旋律，一直重复着那首歌。But you still love me tomorrow. Will you still love me tomorrow? 心声来自高小镇，请问你是否看见我的爹娘？我家就住在妈祖庙的后面，卖着香火的那家小杂货店。这位先生来自高小镇，请问你是否看见我的爱人？想当年我离家时，他已18，有一颗善良的心，对一卷长发。台北不是我的家，我的家乡没有霓虹灯，湖畔的街道，鹿港的渔船，澳洲的烧山人。台北不是我的家，我的家乡没有霓虹灯，湖畔的清晨，鹿港的黄昏，还会让我迷离的人。先生回到鹿港小镇，请问你是否告诉我的爹娘？台北不是我想象的黄金天堂，都市里没有当初我的梦想。在梦里我再度回到鹿港小镇，庙里 我看人们依然坚强。岁月演不出爹娘春不消亡，梦中的姑娘依然长发艳空。
今天谁打很厉害哦？
把自己的手反靠，然后还咬了东西。
不要太飙车了。
你知道上次我回家跟我妈他们吃饭啊，然后我妈就拿那个台北市停车的那种就是缴费单嘛，她就要说她先去超商缴个费，反正等餐上来还有一段时间。结果现在超商没有办法缴那个缴费单。
是哦。
你知道吗？我就说那我后来我就跟她说，那你给我直接帮你去处理，因为它上面有个 QR code。结果后来发现它是要用手机扫 QR code，然后进到有系统软体这种，然后你可以选择各种支付方式。
只能那样了。
对，但它不能在超商缴费。
今天谁打很厉害？
If you are new to FBB, you might be saying, hey Stu, can you just give me an overview?
爱是吉他上最低的弦，断了已经很久，外表看来不明显，可是我心里明白这音乐怎么弹都不完全。当风一吹起，这寒冷的感觉，让人心里一片落叶，必须习惯说再见。毕竟我还拥有奶茶和咖啡，会寂寞也不是一天。不知道在等谁，穿过冰凉的黑夜，还没有去桌上，我坚持着的空位。我还在等谁，失去才能够了解，或者需要阳光、空气，还要被思念。今天过完，也就是明天。可是总有一天，世界终于不下雪，拉上窗帘，再一杯咖啡，继续看着孤独的横线。 当风一吹起，这寒冷的感觉，让人身为一片落叶，必须习惯说再见。毕竟我还拥有那道和咖啡，会寂寞也不是第一天。不知道在等谁，穿过冰凉的黑夜，完美无缺，桌上我坚持着的口味。我还在等谁，失去才能够了解，我只需要阳光、空气，还有被思念。今天过完，也就是明天。或许总有那么一天，世界终于不下雪，拉上窗帘，再一杯咖啡，继续弹着孤独的和弦。谁会听见孤独的和弦？你的眼光，其实我都感觉得到，有些事情本来就很奥妙。无心的玩笑，故意挑剔的争吵，都是爱情的前兆。你的眼泪，其实我也感觉得到，有些事情真的很难预料。爱情的面前，我们真的太渺小，应该怎么说才好？其实我也不知道，其实我也很苦恼，其实我很害怕，你想要的我都做不到，除了紧紧的拥抱，谁能承诺天荒地老？我的苦笑，是否你能明了？其实我也不知道，其实我也很煎熬，其实我也想过放弃一切，什么都不要。人分如此美妙，却又如此困扰，是玩笑迷空，又像寂寞煎熬，让人只想逃跑。你的眼泪，其实我也感觉得到，有些事情真的很难预料。爱情的面前，我们真的太渺小，应该怎么说才好？其实我也不知道，其实我也很苦恼，其实我很害怕，你想要的我都做不到，除了紧紧的拥抱，谁能承诺天荒地老？我的苦笑，是否你能明 其实我也不知道，其实我也很煎熬，其实我也想过放弃一切，什么都不要。缘分如此美妙，却又如此困扰，是欢笑迷宫，又像寂寞监牢，让人只想逃跑。嘿，谢谢你对我那么好，我常常觉得无以回报。爱就是这么微妙，它无法强求，它出现的时候不必寻找。其实我也不知道，其实我也很苦恼，其实我很害怕，你想要的我都做不到，除了紧紧的拥抱，谁能承诺天荒地老？我的苦笑，是否你能明了？其实我也不知道，其实我也很煎熬，其实我也想过放弃，什么都不要。缘分如此美妙，却又如此困扰，是欢笑迷宫，又像寂寞监牢，让人只想逃跑。空着手，犹如你来的时候，紧皱的额头，终于再没有骨头。走得太累了，眼皮难免会沉重。你没错，是应该回家走走。明的是悄悄地刺进耳朵，这一次回首，恐怕再没机会问候。最后一遍了，换你躲进我双肘，想靠在闪耀的我的天空。别说话，泪水你别带走，镜子里的我，已留下你轮廓上的笑容。别回头，末班车要开了，你不过先走。深爱是让不舍离开的人好好走。哒哒哒你的手悄悄地刺进耳朵，这一次回首，恐怕再没机会问候。最后一遍了，换你躲进我双手，想靠在曾摇动我的天空。别说话，泪水你别带走，镜子里的我。 这样快乐，你与我身走，谁来是啊不舍离开的好手？别牵挂，约好我们再见。散步的午后，要像从前，再挽着手细走，别逗留。我们这样快乐，路到了尽头，回到是为留心口的好走。伫细汉的时阵，阮妈妈对我上好，啊上好的物件拢会留予我。伊嘛定定带我去游园，看人咧佚佗，看人咧办公会啊，看人咧去相找。伊定定甲阮讲，叫阮着爱好好啊读册。唔通大汉像你老爸遐尔啊用过哦。伊迄个时阵，阮拢听拢无。阿妈，你到底是咧讲啥话？大了后，才知影阿妈的话，我会甲永远放在心肝底。想着一步的过去，定定拢会予人真难无。时间一分一秒的过去，在阮的心内，定定拢会想着伊。阿妈，你即马伫倒位？阮在叫你，敢有听着？阮的认真甲阮的心痛，你敢有看着？阮在叫你，你知影无？阿妈，你即马过了河，敢有人在甲你照顾？希望后世人阮搁会当来予你听，做你永远的孙仔。搁叫你一声妈。想着一步的过去，定定拢会予人真难无。时间一分一秒的过去，在阮的心内，定定拢会想着伊。
今天我会遇到什么事情呢？努力的成长的事情。我刚刚工作结束了，然后我听说附近有在台北有一点点有名的老街，所以我刚刚来到了。听说平常的话这边是很热闹，很多人们，可是今天是平日，所以没有这么多人。可是还有一些人们，其实我在外面拍摄的时候，不喜欢热闹的地方，因为我是内向了，我很害羞。可是没有办法，这边对我也是第一次来到的地方。很好奇，我原本不相信宗教，可是我很喜欢看这样的人，종교의식 같은 걸 보는 걸 좋아합니다. 所以我在日本的时候，如果我去的地方的附近有神社的话，我喜欢去，그리고 기도합니다. 그런 걸 좋아해요. 虽然我不相信，그냥一种的 마음이 편안해지라고. 这个是玛雅。我在韩国很小的时候看过的食物，就是很甜甜的。其实最近在韩国很少보기가 힘들어요. 근데 여기는 있구나. 可是这个至少这是我不知道，是第一次看。选一个 Kitty 就好了。好想嫁个 Kitty。好乖，可爱可爱，也是可爱呀。我走了，可是大部分开着的店是卖东西的店，餐厅的话好像大部分是已经关了，所以我们一起走吧。不是我不喜欢鱼，可是我觉得平常我没有很多机会吃鱼，所以鱼的料理是对我还没习惯的料理，这好像我没有选择。旁边也是那个饮料店，不是餐厅，所以今天是我要挑战鱼的料理。好，挑战一下吧。动不动呢？为了放轻松，我要选那种刚刚的 Kitty。老干很有心煮我的面，来了，煮透一个面。老干很热情嘞。好像不定。等一下，有一个问题啊，这是香菜啊。老板。好，谢谢老板。好，没有香菜。
寻寻觅觅，在无声无息中消失。 总是找不到回忆，找不到曾被遗忘的真实。一生一世的过去，你一点一滴的遗弃，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失去你。也许分开不容易，也许相亲相爱不可以，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失自己。生死面前无得意，你我也知道去珍惜，只好等在来生，再踏上彼此故事的开始。生生世世，在无穷无尽的梦里，偶尔翻起了日记，翻起了你我之间的故事，一段一段的回忆，回忆已经没有意义，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失去你。也许分开不容易，也许相亲相爱不可以，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失自己。情深缘浅不得已，你我也知道去珍惜，只好等在来生，再踏上彼此故事的开始。生生世世，在无穷无尽的梦里，偶尔翻起了日记，翻起了你我之间的故事，一段一段的回忆，回忆已经没有意义，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失去你。也许分开不容易，也许相亲相爱不可以，痛苦同悲同心，痛恨同失自己。情深缘浅不得已，你我不知道去珍惜，只好等在来生里，再踏上彼此故事的开始。只好等在来生里，再踏上彼此故事的开始。我的前世回首，我的心事难舍，触摸着你的心，竟是透明的，你的悠然自得。